Hey, everybody, it's Eric alongside Rod. We're here pleased to have Coach Thomas Kelly, who is former Spartan standout and the assistant coach for Michigan State basketball team. Thanks for coming back on to the Final Fours on the schedule, Coach.
No problem. Glad to be back, man. Glad to be back.
It's our absolutely all totally pleasure. Before we begin, I just wanted to mention real quickly a quick thanks to Kenneth Kramer, who left us a one-time gift via PayPal to support the show. If you're interested in supporting the show, please head on over to tffinots.com/support. There you can support what we're doing, all these extra interviews and things we're doing as we're contacting important people like Coach Kelly. So I'm really glad we're able to put this together. So this is you've just finished your first year as coach for Michigan State. How do you think it went for you? And was anything, I mean, obviously a different experience than you had at Western Michigan. I mean, how did the season compare for you? And was it, did it meet your expectations? What do you think about it?
To be honest, well, first of all, I ain't important as you are, but
Yeah.
but no, being honest, man, I'll just decide. I think it was a great year. I mean, honestly, I'm not with the love I have for the program and being here, being a player, being a part of this Spartan family. I guess you can say I'm not gonna let it be nothing negative. You know what I mean? Because I'm always give them 100%, and I know everybody under Coach Umbrella is gonna give it 100%. So we all gave it 100%. Yeah, you had ups and downs. We had a lot of injuries early on, but at the end of the day, it was a great experience. I mean, I couldn't ask for nothing more, to be honest. I mean, early on, you talk about going from my first stop in Northern Arizona to jumping into a game against a Gonzaga on the ship. I mean, come on now. I mean, it doesn't get no better than that. Then playing Kentucky and being a part of a double overtime game. It's just all of those things doesn't get no better than that, to be honest.
How was it different coaching in the NCAA tournament versus playing? Or did you, I can't remember. Did you play? Yeah, that's what I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the first Final Four team. So,
right.
I mean, of course, you always want to suit up, but no, I'm joking. But no, of course, the same intensity is there. To be honest, I feel like a player. To be honest, stomach tight, nervous, locked in, hoping that I reminded somebody about a play or something I seen. You don't want to forget anything. So it's the same type of intensity. Of course, you're just not wearing a jersey, but the same type of intensity is there.
Again, I want to echo Eric and thanking you for coming on and doing this with us again, Coach. You mentioned a second ago the injuries, the ups and downs with this season, but I think speaking for ourselves, and I think a lot of fans, it felt like this was definitely a solid, good year by Michigan State standards, with maybe a little bit left wanting at the end. How close do you think this team ultimately came to meeting its potential?
Great question. I mean, when you think about it, right? I mean, let's go back. I mean, you're talking about like the tough Northwestern loss at home. That you all, if you're trying to win, especially people don't understand to win a regular season Big Ten title, how hard that is. Like that is so hard. Don't get me wrong, everything else is hard too. The Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, of course. But to win the Big Ten night in, night out on the road at home, the intensity, the ups and downs, is so hard. So you think about it like, you don't want to lose a game at Northwestern at home. Of course, they play out of it, and Northwestern was a really good team. But we lost to Northwestern at home. We lose to Purdue by 1 at home. By mind you, the Northwestern game was a close game, 2, 3-point, 4-point game, close game too. We lose to Purdue at home. So now you turn around and look at it, right? We were ahead against Illinois for the majority of that game. We could have probably pulled that out, but things happened. Let's go to the Iowa game at Iowa.
Let's not, Coach.
Right. Don't remind me. That was messed out too. I had to go to Coach Izzo after that game and told Coach, I apologize. Because that was my scout. I was so upset. But we win that game, for example. So now I think if I gave you probably 3 games we should have won, we probably regular season Big Ten champs, or at least get a share of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like you're saying. So of course, get to the Sweet 16 is great, but it's just like we were, still just, it's just funny how with this game with luck and opportunity and things that goes on, they do a lot of things about your way, but we were right there. And these guys brought it every day too. They brought it like even after that Iowa game when we lost like that, we go into the road where a tough Nebraska team won about 4 or 5 in a row and we beat them there. I mean, it says a lot about our guys and our character and our team to me.
That's something that we talked about a lot was which you just touch on, the resiliency of this team, that you'd have those really tough moments and people on the outside would be wondering, well, how do you, I mean, that Iowa loss, like from the outside looking in, you think, how can you ever recover from that? But they got back off the mat and they did that all year long. I guess considering that, and you talked about all those close losses, those moments where you guys were right there and just couldn't quite get it done. Is that the thing that maybe could have been better with this team, is just finding those extra inches, so to speak? Or was there something else that you looked at in a bigger scope and said, yeah, if we just could have been a little bit better in that way, that would have made maybe the difference between the season you had and winning a Big Ten title, let's say?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when you think about it, right? Which great points, but it's like, like you said, being right there. So it's like, couple free throws missed here, couple missed opportunities there. What it turned into was great learning tools, teaching tools, and it did help us down the stretch. It really did. So for example, like, the Ohio State game in the Big Ten tournament, when we was kind of lackluster, we didn't play our brand of basketball, because going to that every year, throughout a season, you having them ups and downs and peaks and valleys, whatever people want to call them. Like after the Iowa loss, bounce back. After the Ohio State loss in the Big Ten tournament, we bounce back and have a good run beating some tough USC and Marquette teams.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like like they said, they kept getting off the mat. And even during the process, regardless of what part of the year it was, okay, for example, we lost that Northwestern game early on, go on the road and win at Penn State. And, Penn State played well.
Yeah.
Had a really good season. So after that, you think about that. So the guys, just I much respected them guys because of what they did from early on, losing games into bouncing back. I said Northwestern, Penn State, Iowa, Nebraska, turn around Ohio State, make a tournament run. I mean, them guys said, and they was always just continue to be sponges throughout the year. They were always trying to get better, always trying to figure it out. Never got complacent. And I love that about this team.
Yeah. So before we begin, I just want to remind those listeners that if one way to help support the show is to help our sponsor. And our sponsor is Nudge Printing, who was instrumental in the Spartan Strong effort. That we're printing over 15,000 shirts, raising over $155,000 for the shooting victims and Michigan State's campus. You can go over to nudgeprinting.com and type in Final Four to get 20% off your order. They don't just sell Spartan stuff. They also sell other things from the state of Michigan, other schools, Alma, Calvin, CMU, EMU, all the directional schools, but not the University of Michigan. Gabe and Brittany won't cross that line. So, Coach, what, obviously you're doing recruiting stuff this summer. What other things are you doing? Are you having practice sessions with the team, or how do they sort of work that out?
We just finished spring workouts last week. So that was fun, getting the guys in the gym, working on things, keeping it fun, keeping it high energy, and the thing is, we got gym rats, so guys always trying to get better. So that's why I never have a voice. So you hear me now. I'm always at it. So it's just always that. So you gotta love that about them. So that's why I've been on with recruiting. Now that's about to slow up a little bit, but there's always something to be done. Never get. We got to start from the players. We got to hold ourselves accountable as coaches with that.
Yeah, you and Coach Izzo together have about one voice, I think.
Yeah, honestly, for real. Yeah.
When do the freshmen come on and they start participating in summer things? And then I guess, do you have do the guys get a month or two off before they really start going, or how does it work with classes and stuff like that now?
Yeah, guys are able to get some time off, which is great for them. They deserve it for what we demand of them. So they got about a good month or so off to relax, and well, they're not going to stop working out because they're going to be working out at home or something anyway. So, but no, the guys get to go home, get to be with their families too, which we can't take that for granted. Because even when I look back as a player, and then those were good times to go back home, play with your friends, boys from college, have a good time. So they get to do that. But guys will probably report back, sometime in June, early June, something like that. That's when the freshmen will come as well. So, and that's when we get back connected again, and it's back on. The journey started. Yeah.
When do they start? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, when do they start the hazing for the freshmen? Is it right away when they arrive on campus? They start making carry bags.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's gonna start as soon as they're ready. So as soon as we get on campus, it's on. Who knows? Our guys, we got good guys, so it'll be fun.
Just as a follow-up on that, Coach, during these off-season workouts, and I know enough to know that the NCAA has limited, you have limited amounts of time you can work with your team. That's pretty strictly prescribed. But when you do have those sessions, what kind of things are you looking to do? Is it more individual skill development work, or is it team-oriented stuff, or a little of both?
Right now, it's probably more individual based, and we'll probably add, weight room is important with that too. So that's always a key. Weight room will always be implemented with that. So I think that's the most important thing, or if the most important thing at this time of year, because everybody rather get stronger, change the body, because you got to show progress, and you got to look the part with the progress too. So with that, so weight room, individual based, now it'll be more individual based and team based in the summer, because those are still months that we still got to get better individually, but we will implement some team things too more later on in the summer. But in the spring, more individual based.
Okay, and you guys are not doing an overseas trip this year, right?
No, we're not.
Okay,
no, we're not.
All right.
That I know of. No, we're not.
So going back to last season, and maybe some ways it might be different next year. This struck, I think, for most people that are familiar with what the program staples are for MSU, this was kind of an unusual team this past season, because you guys maybe didn't get to play in transition as much as we usually see. You weren't quite the kind of offensive rebounding team that we usually see. But on the other side, you were really good taking care of the ball. You didn't maybe have the turnover problems that we see often from MSU teams. Do you think that what looks like you're going to have a much deeper team next year, do you think that's going to have an impact in maybe improving those weaker elements of the team last season? In other words, I'm in a convoluted, long way. I'm trying to ask you, do you think that next year, do you expect you're going to play more in transition? It's going to be more of a typical Michigan State offensive rebounding team. And if you can do those things, do you imagine that you'll still be able to take care of the ball the way last season's team did?
No doubt. Being honest, I mean, yeah, we always got to get back to our brand of basketball. I mean, we want to run more. No doubt, we got to get back into doing those things, because those are possessions. Those are easy shots, easy points. Not easy, nothing's easy, but more opportunities for us to score and be aggressive, offensive rebounder. All those things. So yeah, we're trying to get back with them. With us having a deeper team, of course, we want to fly around. We got to fly, because typically what you're talking about in Michigan State, we always been going, having depth. It's always what we do. What we've had the opportunity to take advantage of teams is with that, our bench play and all of that. So
right.
Yeah, we finna get back. We finna get back to that. We have to get back to that, I think. I mean, because that is our way of playing and what we do, and which I love, and I think it's exciting. And I think everybody get more opportunities that way. So it is a positive. Having multiple ball handlers, and what we can do, man, we can shoot the basketball. So that's even better.
Yeah. More Michigan State, less Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. Good point.
So with Malik Hall last season, he played the three for a majority of the season when he's healthy. Do you see him moving more to the four spot this year and sort of back to, I don't want to say his natural position, but certainly where he played the first 2 years of his career, years in his career at Michigan State?
I mean, yeah, with a guy like Malik, when now he was able to play the three some this year. So even playing the four, which natural, which he's going to get, of course, that's where his natural position, where they figure his natural position is, because it's really positionless basketball now. I just like the fact that, to be real with you, that him going to the four, but he will probably have to stay at the three some too. I mean, you never know how games play. He's been able to do it now, and he showed he can do it. So if we have to do that, he's able to do both. But yeah, of course, him playing the four, he will be back to, doing that as well. So I mean, I just think it's having a guy like him and know our system and know our program. It's just good to have him back.
Is his recovery going pretty well so far after surgery?
Yeah. Actually, I just seen him not too long ago. Yeah, he's good, smiling. I love to see him smiling and doing him. It's always good to see my man Malik smiling.
Yeah, I think certainly speaking for us, and I think for most of the fans, it's great that he's going to get that extra year, because just seeing him fight through it, and I've heard that it was worse than even a lot of people knew in terms of what he was going through physically, and yet he was out there competing, trying. It would just be great to see him have a healthy final year, kind of like the way Joey did, where you just get that opportunity to just be healthy and go do it for a full last season and really have that experience, because he deserves it.
No doubt. The last point, what you just said, is really matters. He deserves it. I don't think I dealt with that as a kid with all the injuries. I had like 4 or 5 surgeries as a college kid. I don't think no kid deserves that. I mean, it just messes with your mental, physical, and everything about it. So I just think, like you said, he deserves it, man. He deserves to go out, play hard, injury free, and just max himself out. Because I like to see where that Malik goes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you felt. I thought, those first like 3 games or so before he got hurt, I thought he was arguably the best player you had.
No question.
Can't argue that.
Can't argue that.
He was in a good rhythm when early on the scrimmages and exhibition. I mean, Malik was feeling good. I mean, he really was. And it's just sad to hear that, when somebody goes through that. But he pushed through it, and I'm pretty sure, whether we realize it or not, he became a better, not only basketball player, but a better person by going through that. It's gonna help him in the long run. It's hard to say now, but it's just, them life lessons make you appreciate things a little bit more. So I'm interested to see what happens.
Well, you went through that yourself.
Yes.
You missed that whole, what was it, 97, 98 season.
Yes.
You missed the whole year, and then you come back, and as you were saying earlier, you get to go to a Final Four, part of a Big Ten champion, all those things. So you're speaking from personal experience.
No doubt. It was humbling. It was hard, but the thing, what you learn about you, and which still having bonds right to this day with them teammates in, like Morris Peterson, Martin Cleves, like the connections we was making at that time were lifelong. And which, because guys lifting you up, guys sticking with you, guys checking on you, all of that, it just goes a long way. And that's why I said, Malik, I'm intrigued and excited to see what's about to happen for Malik Hall.
Yeah. So we go from one extreme of the roster in terms of experience to the other then. And I'm sure you have at least a little sense of this, that the fan base is really, really excited by the incoming freshman class. And people always are, because they always love the new and shiny thing.
I am too.
That's coming in. I'm sure you are too. Right. And I think as fans, we've got a sense of their strengths, but when you look at it through a coach's eyes, what are some of the things that you think those guys, and answer it however you want, as a group or maybe some of the individuals, what are some of the things you think they need to improve the most in order to be ready to play really significant roles next season. Because this is going to be an experienced and deep team. It's not like they're walking into, well, here's 35 minutes a night,
Right. Well, the thing is, what I tell or what I say to any incoming freshman, just come in and be a sponge because you reinventing yourself, right? I mean, because what you've done, I mean, everybody has some type of accolades and did a lot of great things in high school that, everybody want that same, instant success and all of that. But if you're coming into when you come incoming freshman, when you're coming into these type of situations, it's not going to be easy. So that's why I always say being a sponge, because we're going to be tough on them as coaches. They probably never really dealt with that. Some have, some haven't, but that's going to be new. The intensity picks up, the weight room, the schedule, all of that, the demands pick up. So I just tell them continue to be a sponge, and don't act like you got things all figured out because you don't. You know what I mean? So I just think with the veteran guys that we have and how they are, and to be honest with you, being around the freshmen and knowing that what we got, they're gonna come in and being ready to go. So I just think it's gonna be a good mesh because we got, of course, I think our incoming freshmen, I feel they know what they're getting into as far as what we have on our roster. So I think they're gonna come in with that type of energy and being a sponge and all that. And I think, like I said, just being, just don't act like you got it figured out, because you never do this. This is hard. It's hard. It's hard, what their workouts and all of that, what they're dealing with. It can't compare to what you're about to see in the months to come, in the weeks to come. So I just tell them right now, being in shape is the best thing you can probably do for yourself, is being in tip top shape, and everything else to take care of itself.
When correct me if I'm wrong, when you were coming into Michigan State, when did you get on campus? Were you on campus as early as these guys are, or was it a little later for you?
A little later. I came in July, Yeah. So it was a couple of weeks earlier than me, but I came in July. So it was about kind of same.
But it's always seemed to me that Michigan State and Coach Izzo's program in general was maybe a little bit ahead of the curve as compared to a lot of other programs in terms of how early they got freshmen up to campus and kind of start getting acclimated to academics, all of those things that a lot of fans don't think about. Do you think that's been an advantage over the years in terms of, being able to get guys to hit the ground running? And by the time September rolls around, they're kind of used to it a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. I kind of call it a cheat sheet, right? Because you do get you take a class or two, you getting all the, like I said, the workouts, of course, it's not the same when real practice begins, but you're getting some good samples, saying good things going on. So I think it is a plus. I mean, because all we really did when we were coming through were we just had open gyms. Coaches work out with us some, but they wasn't allowed to do what we can do right now. Mm-hmm. Rules have changed a heck of a lot. So I wish we could have. It does help with the play calling, play learning, things like that. So you get a little cheat sheet, as far as them getting to work out early like that. So I think it's a bonus.
With next season, how different do you think Holloman and the freshmen like Kohler and Cooper? What do you think fans are going to notice a huge difference in their game and how they approach things than they did this as a freshman?
Yeah, I can see that right now. All three of the guys. I mean, what they're doing, working on their bodies, working on their games. Like Trey Holloman shooting the ball much better right now as we speak, being honest with you. Jackson's body looks good. Carson's body looks good. I mean, these guys are working and enjoying it every day. They in the gym every day, up early, working out, lifting weights every day. So I'm like, and I always say your freshman or sophomore year is when you probably make your biggest jump. Mm-hmm. And I think them guys are on their way to make some significant jumps.
All right. Well, that's just going to add to the more traffic for minutes, right? Oh, go ahead, Rod.
Well, I was going to just on another subject, something that we've been spending a lot of time on the podcast talking about because it's a constant, and that's the way that rosters around the country are in so much upheaval. And obviously Michigan State has been really in a fortunate position. I don't think it's by accident, in that you guys are not going through as much of that. I was just curious your perspective as a coach, because I thought last year, is just my opinion, feel free to tell me I'm full of it. I thought last year, one of the reasons that around the country, you didn't seem to have any truly great team. Maybe you could argue UConn became that at the end, but one of the reasons you didn't really have that kind of those super teams is that so many guys are moving around that you don't have the consistency or the coherency that you get from teams being together for multiple years. Do you think that's something that, and I'm not even going to say an advantage for Michigan State, because we already know what Coach Izzo believes in, but do you look at that as maybe a reason why there was so much inconsistency around the country, is that teams just didn't know each other as well as they used to?
No doubt. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, think about it, right? I always go back to our time and when I played, which no comparison, but we probably had maybe 20 transfers in a year, right?
Right.
Not that many. I mean, it's just crazy how even if it's 100, say it's even 100 transfers, whatever it is, can't even scratch what it is nowadays.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so when you think about it, on top of, let's say, AAU basketball, where AAU basketball is so many, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, you have so many teams. So guys are, playing against each other, doing this at an early age. So now on top of, so for example, like coming up, you don't see it's hard. We couldn't play against certain guys. We could read about them in papers and all of that. So when you play against some guys, it makes that much more of a wow factor. You know what I mean? But now in today's game, everybody's able to touch everybody in some form or fashion, whether it's a workout, AAU. So now when you talk about, now let's go to the transfer portal, right? So now when you talk about what we stand for, and which is crazy to me, I get goosebumps when I always say this now, because I live the Michigan State culture on and off the court. Get out of some what you put into it, sacrifice, whatever it is. It's about that, right? Coach ingrained that into us, and I was a part when it first started, from an NIT to a Final Four and all of that. So so I'm saying you keep your culture intact. So yeah, I get that. People may pluck from the portal sometimes. You may have to fill in one or two spots. I get that. But I remember I watched my second year, I think we had to go get 7 guys out the portal, for example. Yeah. So I'm just saying, and by the time we started clicking, to your point, we started clicking until almost February. Season almost over. It's hard. So now, but when you look at UConn, for example, they pluck some guys, but most of them guys, the core guys, are together. When you look at us, which when you talk about your what you want to keep intact, AJ stuck around. You got all these guys organically. Malik Hall, we talk about, he's been around. Now Tyson Walker is going into his 3rd year here now. You know what I mean? So now you got guys that they done stuck around. Even when you look at let's say from even like guys like a David Smith, who's Malik Hall's room, like he knows what Michigan State culture, he's been around. So you getting a voice, we talk about as coaches, you getting it in the locker room too. It matters, and I feel, I agree with Coach on that. That matters so much. And when you lose that, now when you look up now, like what you was talking about, you got so much parity. And now it's no, that makes it, which makes it fun and interesting. But on the coaching side, it ain't fun. It's not fun at all. You know what I'm saying? So, and don't get me wrong, you can get lucky, right? Some teams may get lucky and they pluck, you getting a lot, from transfers and all that, and they happen to get a good run. But not a lot of teams are not that lucky like that.
Right.
No, we talked about it plenty of times too, about that exact point.
I mean, the team that you lost to, Kansas State, I think it was all but 2 guys were transfers. So people want to use that as an example of the idea, well, yeah, the portal is how you get better. Well, it worked for them last year. Let's see what happens next year.
Right. Right. That's good. Great point. Great point. Because now sustaining it, right? That's what you're talking about. You gotta sustain it. You know what I mean? And everybody, want to be a one-hit wonder. That's cool. Can't sustain it.
Yeah, and if you're replacing 8 or 9 guys every year, boy, good luck to you finding ways to sustain that. Yeah.
That's not fun. Guys are setting their ways, guys coming in. You just don't know. It's not fun.
I mean, you haven't been through this because you haven't been looking in the transfer portal, but I mean, I know when you're recruiting high school players, you know who they are. Like you've met them, you've met their families, you have a good feel for sort of what kind of guys they are.
Recruiting
in the transfer, I mean, I imagine it's got to be really challenging, right, for you to try and get an idea of what these kids are like. Because you only have like a week or something to talk to them once or twice on the phone.
Right. So it's like, and what can you really know? You know what I'm saying? Because even then, you steady learning them all the time. And it's like, and then it's to the point where now we're talking about months now because, they're going to be done in a couple months. And you back at it again. You know what I mean? It's just, like I said, when I was at Western Michigan, that was not fun. It was great, but we spent that whole summer for the most part trying to get in the portal, trying to find guys. There wasn't no time, wasn't no break. We was working. And then when you get the guys, you gotta see how their work habits are, what they doing. Some guys are a little bit lazier than what I thought. Some you just be like, and you gotta try to learn that. And it's like, damn, he's already been in school for 4 years. That ain't changing. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough.
Right.
Well, I think we'll wrap it there. Coach Kelly, thank you so much for coming on the show. Again, I want to remind you, if you can go to the Final Fours on the schedule.com, you can go to the Final Fours on the schedule.com/merchandise and you get this awesome sweatshirt that I'm wearing. You can get
I like that
from Nudge Printing. Yeah, Nudge Printing, 20% off, Coach. You just entered Final Four as the coupon code. Again, Coach Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, the Final Fours of the schedule, go green.
Go white, man. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey,
anytime, man. If I got the time, we got the time. I don't mind chopping it up with you guys, man. You guys are good dudes.
You're the best.